and aim for the camera.
Okay, which one's main camera?
Main camera is that one over there, yeah. And you are going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and you should be. Wait a minute, it's coming through. Stand by. You are
leading in there. Come on, guys, together.
And you are live.
Thanks, man. Guys, welcome to another HotBox podcast. We're looking forward to another Thursday lazy blazy evening with you.
I think we're number 9.
Yeah, number 9, almost double digits.
Almost breaking it.
Yeah, we've got some new guests today. We're joined by Brad and Mary Jane. Mary Jane will be incognito this evening for obvious reasons. And then as always, Dan the Grow Man. Great to have you back, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about some dang shit. But before we get into that, I think let's do some pre-departure dabs, joints, bongs, anything your heart desires.
Everyone get involved.
Please.
Go on.
Before I flash the wall. Then you're really.
So what are we dealing with here today in terms of weed? I think we've got like some train wreck or some shit, eh?
I think so.
And the dabs? Just dang.
Yeah, there's dabs, yeah. There's some Hawaiian snow, I think this is.
Hawaiian snow.
Yeah.
Oh!
You pick at your dab, it's oh shit.
It looks like the Wilson's toffee, it's mighty big.
Bit of a dab, that one.
Mm-hmm. Good thing.
So guys, what we'll be talking about today is, we sort of touched on this last time, was kids and cannabis and that, but we mainly had mothers who'd raised kids and had to sort of breach that divide each way, them being cannabis users and often the kids being cannabis users. But we thought we'd get some younger guys around to deal with this, because historically we'd be parents dealing with kids. But now we're finding that kids are having to deal with their parents as they come out of the closet as cannabis users. And, you know, I'm from a long time ago, so my opinion doesn't really fucking matter. But I think Brad and Mary Jane can offer us some great insights into sort of what that experience is like. Like, when did you first find out that your mom tokes?
She gave me the talk when I was 15.
15, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smoking weed, you have to be 18. If you want to smoke cigarettes, 15. You want to drink, 18. You want to get tattooed, let's go together.
Okay.
Yes.
A mom and son tattoo, when you put it together, it makes a heart or something.
Oh, we have a special heart together.
Nice.
No, we
Nice.
actually we should do that.
And did you listen to it? Well, she's pretty frank with you about it. How frank was she? Was it like awkward, like the sex talk, or?
No, luckily I never got that.
Okay, not from your mom.
No. The cannabis
Most
talk
awkward
was
talk of all time.
it was pretty cool because then I just tried and tried with her, and then it was awesome. Just chilled, watched TV, no raping mothers.
No, none of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was actually it opened my eyes. Pretty fun.
Nice. And Mary Jane, are your parents users or for or against or?
Well, my parents are completely. I'm sorry, must apologize. I was at a heavy rave last night, so you know the voice is gone.
Kids these days.
Right?
Blame it on the Molly.
Yeah. You know what? It was difficult. I grew up with weed being. We never really spoke about it because I wasn't into it. I would never touch it. Not with a 10-foot pole, because it melts your brain. And it'll take away from your life and whatever else. What we were taught at school and what we heard, not what we were actually informed about. This year was the first year I started smoking. I don't drink. I'm not paralytic at places, so my parents are okay with it, and they're actually for it. Much more for it than the alcohol. Much more, and I don't touch it. I'll have a Savannah if we're like at a game lodge or something, because it's nice. It's for the taste. It's not to get smashed. And when I'm high, I function perfectly. I'm not a babbling idiot that wants to get in pub brawls. And I don't know. I think they see me happier.
And how did you broach the topic with your parents though? Did they bust you or was it?
No. Actually, funny enough, this is great.
I'm smoking now.
I had one of my varsity mates with me the one night. Well, he was starting to be my roommate. And he smoked a lot of weed. And we went to a varsity where it was pretty
Suave.
Well, it was the norm if you saw people stoned. So Sebi started smoking and stuff, and I was like, well, let me try a blunt, let me try this. And I hadn't smoked for years. And it made me a bit buzzed the first time. And then we smoked a bit more and it carried on becoming a thing. And I felt helplessly guilty because I was like, this drug is so bad for me. And then I actually started to think on it, process my life, reanalyze, and realize it's not. It actually helps. And the one night my mom came into the lounge and I was epically grilled. I was giggling my bum off. So was Sevi. I think he actually passed out.
Nice.
And she came in and she was like, okay, well, my back's really sore. I was like, well, she's like, what are you on? So I'm not going to lie to you, I had a joint. And she's like, what is it? Is it very strong? She came in and she had some.
Okay. Was it her first time?
No.
Okay.
No. They've had their moments. They're pretty old. I think they rode on the backs of dinosaurs. So I think they've had some good Durban poison. But they are so for it. And they're so happy. It's been a year. I told my mom as she was getting into the car the other day, do you know it's been a year that I've been smoking? And she was like, what? You've accomplished so much and it's done nothing wrong to you.
Yeah.
So happy.
Yeah, I think every parent almost expects their kid when on the old gospel, because it's getting to that stage now where there was Old Testament drug policy and sort of New Testament and that Old Testament shit. Couldn't blame parents for thinking that their kids would end up with a needle in their arm or something like that within a year or within a month.
Well, I mean, from what they saw back when they were growing up, they thought, oh my gosh, are they going to do anything that we were doing? Jeez.
Yeah, man. But also, we never speak about this, but believe it or not, Dan's a dad. Pretty great dad.
There you go. Yeah.
But also, your lady's pretty young. But when do you think would be the time to have that sort of discussion? Because there is going to be a point where he's going to say he's not sure that's a cigarette.
I'm pretty much taking the approach that it's going to be the norm. Why, if it's going to be something that's tucked away in the cupboard, what is that? What is that, Daddy? What is that? What is that? What is that? Not to say that I'm showing him and putting it in his face. Obviously, I'm separate and I do it. And if I roll a joint and he asks what it is I'm rolling a cigarette, a smoke. And at the end of the day, it's a smoke. We'll call it a smoke, it's a smoke, whatever. And I think he'll just know what it is, essentially. He'll learn.
Do you sometimes worry, though, that a parent isn't always their kid's sort of primary sense of information? So, like your mom, I know, is more liberal.
Yeah.
But then you're often in a school situation where you spend a lot of more time away from your
Friends.
mom. Yeah, with friends, which are influences. And like there's peer pressure and that influence. There's also that school influence, which is quite conservative in South Africa. So then you end up with things like piss tests and all of that.
Yeah.
So do you worry that there might be that outside influence on your kid's opinion that might turn him into a narc against you? Like, would you ever knock on your mom, dude?
Yo, no
Did
ways.
you ever feel like there was a necessity to?
To knock on my mom?
Yeah.
No ways.
Okay.
Because they're not hurting anyone.
I think if you grow up in a house where you say your parents are alcoholics and it becomes a problem and your life sucks, and you don't want to be there and you don't want to deal with this every day, you're going to go and talk to someone and say, this is a problem. If cannabis is doing that, if it is, you're obviously going to say something to it, but I mean, you wouldn't have to knock on them if it's something that's not doing anything wrong and it's just their daily grind or their daily relaxer, come home from work, have your joints. I don't think it's that's how we work.
And I'll be frank with you guys, I grew up in a pretty fucked up situation. Like, my parents were young for it, and it was like, everything was an option, so you never knew what the day was going to end with. But I remember even as a child, which was a weird thing in this bubble, is that the only time there wouldn't be drama was when weed was the only drug of that night. The moment it was alcohol or something else, tragic ending. So I hope that people are seeing that, kids are seeing that firsthand, and you're experiencing that firsthand. But in your circles, is it like that, or is it an exception?
In our circles, it's actually pretty nice because instead of going out and drinking like we used to, we chill, we smoke, we chat, we stay up like a gang late though, just talking about things, laugh. And I think it's just made us closer than just running off, getting drunk, losing each other, waking up somewhere random.
Yeah, I think it's that it sort of comes up a lot, is that a lot of parents now are like, I'd rather them do it in front of me than behind me.
Yeah.
But you were saying earlier, Mary Jane, that in your school there were piss tests.
There were indeed.
Okay.
I went to every school under the sun, so I did come across my fair share of schools that did do urine tests and whatever. And I was never called because I didn't use it then. And I was a good girl at school and whatever, so I wasn't asked to. But people just like me were pulled in because they need variation. Was it an invasion? No. Hell yes. Why? Why must I feel guilty about using something that cures some people's ailments and I am perfectly able to function on it and it helps me with all of my symptoms and things and whatever, but I must be taken to task when more deaths occur through every other substance. So now but I was never called. I know we lost a few students along the way.
And what
through
happened
it.
to them? That's
Oh
it.
no.
Well, fuck off. That's it.
No. I am still in contact with a few. A few are doing very well. 2 went to varsity.
Okay.
2 took up working, but I think that pressure, just like in the jails and the illegal part to it, and being told it's so wrong, puts that in your head, and then you can go off and start to go down the wrong track because you're told you're wrong. I remember when I was at school and I was told I was an idiot. I then started believing I was. So I think the aspect and the concept of marijuana itself needs to change. Should just be able to be a choice.
Yeah.
And people should not be so against it.
I think that
Judge
was
it before they know it.
That was
You
what
know?
was so scary as a child for me personally, maybe some experience it, is that people do make it scary. And it brings us nicely to our next topic is, there's this guy in Canada, and I'll be frank, he's a bit of a puss. His name's Julian Fantino. And this guy is the kind of motherfucker that would come to your school and preach that Dagga is the devil. And he's best known for equating weed to murder. Basically what he said is, if we're going to legalize weed to drop crime or reduce crime, may as well legalize murder to reduce crime.
Picketing on the side of the road type guy, eh?
Yeah, handing out pamphlets and all that.
no.
No, not.
And this bloke was a former police chief, so he wasn't a nobody, he was a politician as well. And what he's now done is, now that weed's been legalized in Canada, he's now joined the cannabis industry and suddenly changed his fucking mind. So I don't know. You get these guys who have their
the irony.
I don't know. The motives. It scares me.
But it's
Money drives
ironic.
people though.
It is ironic.
Well, it
It
changes
might-
Hellishly
everybody.
ironic.
It changes them all. I mean, like all the people that, like we say, all the people that are changing their mind nowadays. He's just another one of them.
Yeah.
Our parents that all were against it, and now they're all with it. So they're like, yes, this is great. Let's get in there.
Yeah, and as soon as
Same
they can
thing.
smell the cash, things change.
Money changes anybody.
But it is scary that these are people who influence children's lives. And did you ever have to sit through any of those crazy drug talks at school and all that? Or?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
And then people coming in. I've been to, lost train of thought. Right.
Have another bomb.
No, but I have had those chats. And there's somewhat now when I look back. We once had a video played to us of this obviously making it look bad. Making weed look like it's terrible for you. And all of us came out of that lesson giggling our asses off because we just wanted to go buy the nearest joint. These guys took smokes and edibles. And they went on a little trip in the forest. And they had music. And then they went and they made dream catchers and they spoke.
Sounds like the best
You
part.
got
Beautiful!
Sounds like a bad
It was
idea.
beautiful! We all came out thinking, okay,
Don't do weed.
why was this bad? You want us to drink, get motherless, and take out a family on the road coming back from Spur. That's just not right. Sorry. I don't think taking any substance while driving, sure. But certainly, in the comfort of your own home, you should be able to medicate yourself in a healthy way.
I agree completely. And did you ever have friends knock on each other though?
No. We were
Not,
not
eh?
No.
Hey, stitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe yes, maybe a few people, but I think they've been taken out since.
Okay.
Taken out
by the hawks. Something I came across recently as well. And it's a very I'm making a big leap here. But since he's kind of like the father of the nation, and we're talking parents and kids and that, Tata Madiba. So deep inside that book that's going super viral at the moment, The President's Keepers, about 3/4 in, there's this little bit from this guy who was Madiba's bodyguard. And what he claims is like post-election, a couple of years after the 94 election, Madiba was pretty knackered, you know, heart stint, just come out of Robben Island, now you're running a country. He wanted a break. So they fucked off to some random Caribbean island. And this is all in the book. I'm not talking shit. You can go read it yourselves on PDF or whatever. Download the shit.
What a book!
And it's by no means the subject of the book, but it's such a funny thing. And he says, the security guard says, or the bodyguard says, we got there, and it was this random island with this like trance festival going on with the Madiba theme, and it permeated with rum and weed. That was it. And he said, off Madiba went to trance his little fucking heart out. So, again, it raises the question, did Madiba smoke weed? And I think how do you wear a fucking shirt like that and not smoke weed? Do you think he smoked weed, guys?
To wear those kind of
Yes.
shirts, yes.
Did you see how
Raise your
sharp
hand.
he was?
Woo!
He was constantly
Man of
always
peace.
had the most justifiable, best route to any decision, and it was well thought through. It was calm,
He was able to
it
process
was beautifully put,
very
and he
calmly.
could lead. And why? Because maybe he had a bit of weed with his coffee.
You know, and you think if we had to name like a strain after Tata Madiba, like Madiba Magic or something,
Madiba's
what do you
Magic.
think, eh?
Madiba's
Yeah.
Magic. That was a horse. That was a racehorse, actually.
Really,
Yeah,
eh?
it was.
Oh, so it's taken.
Damn.
Damn it, eh?
Boo.
Call it Eastern Madiba. Eastern Cape Madiba.
Dan, we got any questions going on at the moment from the crowd? Any questions?
Let's have a look here. Nothing.
So, you mentioned earlier, Dan, that this came up. We all know the Medical Innovation Bill, Mario Ambrosini, all those things, contentious. It's been carried on by the IFP and the Rensing and that. So basically, it's the way in a way, for medical marijuana in South Africa.
So
What
it's
that-
being supposed to be, or everyone seems that it thinks it is.
Yeah, but it still has to play out, guys. It's a long-term thing we're dealing with here. But you said you saw that it was gazetted.
Yeah, it said something on Facebook. I saw that the MIP's, the Medical Innovation Bill, has been gazetted, and it should be looked at by the end of the year.
All right, and was it saying anything about if people could get licenses yet, or if they should apply, or where to apply?
It says that that is the route that they're trying to establish, is how to apply and who can get it. But it was for medical research, resource for research and for medical purposes, basically what the article said. Let me put it up again. Give me 1 second, just to refresh the memory.
And while you're getting that, guys, do you think, like with all things in South Africa, it's going to get gupted? So, yes, there's going to be medical marijuana, but the benefactors are going to be cadders. Eh? You think it's going
happens
to be a
with every
conspiracy
industry.
come true because
Happens
of
with
the
every
way
Once
things
they
are?
know
Every industry.
what it can provide.
They know, man.
Oh well, once they
They're
can
just
use
trying
it,
to find the
yes.
best way to make the most money from it.
Doesn't matter as long as it becomes acceptable in a fashion and a choice that you can make and such. I don't know when it will happen. I just know I'm not gonna put my brakes on my life.
And what do you guys think it's going to be like? Like, if you envision it, how do you think it should be if you want to get marijuana as a medicine? Should it be like California, where you can get a really super easy license and go buy raw bud?
Yeah.
Or do you think it must be something that comes in a pill that you have to be on your last fucking dying breath on before you can get access to?
I think you should just be able to grow it and smoke it.
I've seen that one show. I've seen that one show on Mnet. That's awesome. And it's about a cannabis place in Canada where they have different nuggets laid out, different things where you can, it's like a tobacconist.
That's all
you
the
know?
dispensaries.
Yes, you go
They're all
in.
gear laid out. They got everything.
You go in, you test it out, and they're actually psychologists there. And they sit down and they talk to you. So if you've never smoked it
But dentist,
before,
psychologist. Well, I think you need this. You look like you need this. Well, no, I don't
How do you
actually.
see
All
them
I want to do
blending?
is just relax. I don't really want to bounce around.
how do you feel about that?
Just want to get fucked and play Xbox.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Let me just
it's really
chill Sunday
cool because
night,
if you've
man.
never smoked it, you have someone to speak to that has and deals with it, and it's really cool. I think you should be able to get it at the age of 18. I'm just thinking alcohol 18, and it is an age where you can start trying to think for yourself. And then medically, sure, maybe you do need to go get a certificate or whatever. Like you said, it's super easy. So, is it valid? But okay, it should be sold where there are eyes on it, at least, where it's open.
Yeah, because
It's not concealed.
you
It
saw
doesn't have to be a sin.
you're so much closer to your first experience than what we are. But like, do you think if legal weed was an option? Because I know realistically, we know alcohol's legal, but my first time buying alcohol, I was way below the limit. But even so, if you were in that segment now and weed was legal, would you then rather still under the age limit try and get a legal avenue of it, or would you go and get some dodgy weed?
I would push my luck. I would try and get it like from the dispensary or something. First, try fake ID maybe.
Yeah.
And if
McLovin
that wouldn't work, yeah. But if that wouldn't work, yeah, I'd go like taxi rank. How's it, my dude? You
That's
got
the
some?
problem.
Or you just get it from your mate, because your mate will have it. Or your aunt will have it.
Oh, true.
Or
No,
someone
everybody's
else.
fucking auntie has it
Everyone else has got it now.
nowadays.
It's
But
so
if
easy to get, you don't even need to go and look that far anymore.
Actually.
But if it is illegal, which it is, it makes it obviously frowned upon to try and get hold of the substance. So like you just said, at a younger age, would it be okay to maybe not have to just be 18 or whatever, who knows? Because we all know we tried to get hold of things when we weren't that age and it was twice as fun because you were being twice as bad.
Yeah.
And so yeah, people are going to try and test things. But where would I go? I'd go to the bad place. Because we were too scared to be caught in a camera situation in a public place being told, you're under the age, now come with me. So I would start, smoking really bad for you kind of stuff.
No, you'd vote dealer and you say you'd vote still try and get it from
Yeah,
somewhere.
still try.
But that's a dilemma that's still going to be faced because I reckon lighties, one way or another, we set a limit. We say 18, 21, whatever.
No, it's
I
not
think
try.
we're not saying we condone it, but we do need to accept, like what's about tobacco, alcohol, sex, all those things. There are going to be early introductions. Dan, do you ever worry about that with your lighty? What his first experience might be like? Maybe it's something you hear about after the fact.
Of course I do.
Fucking
I hope
K2 or
I hope
Spice.
to just do it when he's young enough to say, well, here we go. You know, when you're young, you'd have your first beer with your dad. It was accepted. You know, it happened. It was done.
Yeah.
So I'll just do that one day when I think he's ready and I think that his mind is in the right place. Well, look, it's not going to be until he's older. I believe that he shouldn't be smoking until he's at least 18, 20, finish school, out of school, you've developed your brain, then you should be allowed to do your own thing. But, I mean, I know that it's going to happen. As long as he turns around to me and says, look, this is what happened. I'm still alive, I'm still good. I guess that's what's going to be the way it's going to happen, I guess. I mean, it's kind of like me trying to think of where he would do it if he doesn't do it at home. And now, with me saying that I would rather be open about it at home, hopefully you'd be willing to just say, look, can I try with you? And that's my hope.
I hope so as well, because it is a tough thing. You know, we're not all blessed with hippie parents or open-minded parents. A lot of kids out there are facing staunch opposition.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very open-minded about it. So compared to other people, like you say, they're very, very hard on the kids. And those kids, I think, will be the ones that will look more than likely want to go and try it elsewhere. In the street, so-called, at your mate's house, at the mall, at the park, whatever it is, not at home.
Yeah.
But if your parents
160 on the freeway,
yeah, all that.
hitting a bong.
Mates, when I was growing up, my mates' parents were fine with them drinking at home. So we used to have big parties at the house all the time because they were happy to see the kids were there and they were safe and they could at least be there to see if something went wrong. And I mean, geez, if we're getting that person when you're young, trust me, I know my kid can smoke a joint at night on a Friday night if he wants to, and he's going to be fine.
Because and maybe this is me being about it. I don't know if I'm ever going to have a lighty, but you know, there's those moments with the lighty that must be amazing. You know, the first play when you first kick a ball together and that. But also maybe there is that thing like the sex talk. You also teach them responsibility. So like you say, Bopa condom. You say, hey, not the red riz, my boy.
Yeah.
Gonna get my box. Show him the rules.
Make sure you clean it
If
properly.
you're gonna do it, hey.
Yeah.
And then when he brings you his weed, you say, my boy, you got ripped, eh?
Well, you see, when I was young, I grew up with my dad giving me the magazine with the weed inside. He told me to take little boilies out.
Take the piss out, dude.
So that's what I grew up as, and I love that's the motto now. You know, you can't have seeds in your weed. It's terrible.
So was your old man also a stoner?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're like you'll be second or third generation then. Well, maybe
Fourth
not.
generation.
He might skip it. He
My
might not even
grandfather
like
was
me.
also, well, yeah, if he does or doesn't. My grandfather also used to smoke copious amounts. So it runs right through the family.
So you wouldn't think, even with you move on in life, you have a kid, whatever. Would you think less of your kid for using any substance, whether it's weed or alcohol, tobacco, or is it okay until he pawns the TV?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't get to the pawning of the TV part. I'd be like, hey, listen, these things are acceptable. These things, you take them, you're dead, yeah. Straight up.
Well, that's what I grew up with. Talking about open parents, talking about non-hippie parents, whatever. I grew up with parents, like you say, do it and let me know about it, or do it where you're safe. Don't go run off and do it in a bush because you feel it's bad and wrong and you cannot come to me. So,
I think the point was don't put yourself in compromising situations. Was the compromise from the parents?
this stuff is that good. And remember, I didn't smoke today. True story.
Dad, you're telling us that in Las Vegas there's a fat cannabis convention going
It's
on.
it's the biggest marijuana convention in the world apparently.
Why aren't
Since
we?
since the stuff's become more and more legal. It's the MBizCon. So it's the the marijuana business convention in Las Vegas. And they've got something like over 650 exhibitors from laboratory suppliers, seed suppliers, nutrient suppliers, completely every single thing you could ever think of that you would need or could do in the cannabis industry. It's absolutely heaven. I mean, that's what we need to have, something like that here, at least to showcase the industry.
No.
Because I remember when I was living in England, where it was illegal, cannabis, but yet they had the HemCon. And you go to the HemCon, and it's in a convention center, but it's all the cannabis related shit from the world, all is inside there. You just, it's exhibiting. So I was wondering, how does one do that locally?
Locally it's growing in that. We are seeing a lot of guys step up to the plate. So, not a month goes by where we see a new CBD business coming along or a new hair shop or whatever. So that's great. It is emerging. But if you guys were to go to like a cannabis convention, what would you want to go there for? Would you want to go see amazing grow shit? Would you want to go dab yourself till you look like Oscar with the snot coughing in court? Or what would be the pinnacle? It's like going to that Gold Reef. You know, there's a certain ride you want to go on. What would you like to see at local?
A Tower of Terror kind of moment.
Well,
I would want like a museum thing, but you can not a museum.
This was the first weed plant ever.
Smoke something.
I would want something educational because it's helped my life tremendously, and I want to learn more about it, baby. Like really,
Would be good to
it's amazing to see what this stuff can do, and always respect it. Because sometimes you don't have a bit for a while, or you do, whatever. It can really make you feel like, wow, I got energy.
Yeah.
Or it's powerful, yet so subtle, and
I think the best thing to bring to this
I want
country
no
would be education. Bring the top growers or other growers from around the world and people that have been in this position and have experienced what we are trying to experience in the country now. Go through all the guys that are in businesses, whether it's growing, packaging, medical, or edible, or whatever it is, advertising. Come, show, bring over, and then we can at least see what you have to say. Growers, come, explain to the guys how to grow. Share some of their secrets here, because that's the only way you're going to learn, unless you are online, checking out all the videos, watching what's happening overseas.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head there, because it's that experience, it's that institutional experience. It's one thing crawling forums 10 hours
That
a day.
takes time. That's schooling fees. That takes years
and
of
then
shit,
also
and that's
putting
what they've
that
done.
time in, dude, because there's one thing theory and another thing practical.
Oh,
you can know
it's a
everything.
huge-
You can be a nerd for nerd.
Well, there we go. That's the classic thing. The thing I was going to say is some guys are calling themselves master growers. And there's a huge debate online, which is, how can you be a master grower? Even the most experienced horticulturist still learns every single day. You can't tell me that you know every single thing about this
it never
plant.
stops.
Never. So if you call yourself a master grower implies that you know everything about the topic at hand. So people that call them, need to maybe just step back a bit, I think.
Yeah, because
it's
like
like saying doctor, you're not a doctor.
yeah.
It's you can't provide the same quality, so don't say you are.
Just say you're an experienced grower.
Yeah.
Jeez, don't say a master grower.
Just check out my Instagram or
A
something.
master-
That's your CV
Yeah.
now.
There we go.
There you go.
That's it, yeah. So yeah, we definitely need to get people into this country, or at least we need to make something like this happen. Some sort of event where it's more of an educational platform and not just sell. You're not going to sell anything, obviously, but more educational equipment, growing equipment, extraction equipment, whatever the industry has, basically. There's a lot of stuff in the industry that's been brought
You know
out.
what I saw that was pretty cool? Was like a little stick, like pipe thing, but it's coughless. They have like this weird filtration.
That's the
zigzag.
seven something. I've seen it. Yes, it's a glass pipe.
Not
with
the twisty blunt.
with the coil. It's got that coil of copper
twisty
or
blunt
not copper, it's like
2.0.
stainless steel that spins. So basically, from the air flowing over the coils, it basically cools the whole entire flow of smoke. So it's a hot pipe, but it's cold when you hit it. Yeah. It's
And you
pretty
can
cool.
twist the weed out.
Yeah, you
Because also you end up with that ash file.
yeah.
No, they're very cool. I've seen them round. They go for like $200.
Really?
But you still stuck on it being a museum.
No, just like where you can go and try and just experience.
Like, I don't know if you've ever been to that World of Beer in downtown Joburg, where they take you on the whole SAB tour, and you get to see how it was made, and you get to sample like or what's that shit, Machau?
Oh, yes.
Mogedu,
That's dude.
something like that.
But it's great because you get to go through that
Kumbosi,
experience.
and
Like,
it's all different names for different cultures. There.
I wouldn't smoke my granddaddy's weed on a daily basis, but as a once-off, maybe, hey. That 70-year-old strain or that OG shit.
Yeah, something that you can't really get every day. But then it brings to the carnival, not carnival,
the
the
occasion.
convention thing, and you like get to try something exquisite from England or something that you don't get locally.
Yeah.
But if you say museum, there is history also. I mean, if you've been to Amsterdam, anybody's been to Amsterdam, and you go to the Cannabis Museum in Amsterdam, they've got a bud there that's been preserved. I mean, it's not preserved; it's just sitting there, but it's like I don't know.
Dry as fuck.
It's cured
You
for
know,
a
it's
long
like
time.
50 years, 60 years. You come in, it's just there, and there's certain items of history that's made its name in history. For instance, Mr. Nice, he's got quite a significant role in what happened in the weed trading and smuggling in England and America and across the borders during the late 60s, around there. From where is it? Wales.
All over,
And
dude.
all over.
Ireland,
He was
and-
from Wales, and he basically went all over. But then, basically, in this museum, he gave them his prison card.
Oh, lekker,
So the prison
bro.
card of Mr. Nice is sitting there. So it's history. It's something that if you go and read up in the books, it's a lot of information from how he also got a hashish from Afghanistan and brought it through into America through the Rolling Stones speakers. They were smuggling it through here with the speakers. So
No, it's a great book. It's up there. It's one of the
there it
best.
is. There it
Nice.
is. Mr.
So
Nice.
I think
It's one
we'll
of the
say that
classics.
maybe we should do a book episode, guys, because we've read
Book
some
club.
fucking shit. Book club. Next week, Thursday, book club, bitches.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll bring the wine and cheese.
Oh,
Yay! That's right. But I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Just before we move on. What I found really interesting is talking about the bringing in of weed into this country and everything via ships way back when and everything. So the trade in like weed and everything. When I learned that it wasn't just for like smoking, that weed is hemp,
Yeah.
weed is plastics, weed is this, weed is that. There are weed homes. I was told that by one hell of a beautiful woman.
There's Tony
who's-
Budden's
Yeah,
rocking it
Tony's.
right now. Tony Budden's doing some awesome work there with those
Yeah.
hemp houses.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Real deal shit.
With the hemp bricks and the hempcrete.
Yeah, but they never tell us that when they say they give you that fucking spiel in school and that, and at church and wherever. They don't say it does all these other things. They
Well,
show
you
you
know
the
that-
image of the leaf,
Yeah,
and it's
the
so
leaf.
ironic because the leaf isn't the
The
part
devil.
we're interested in. If you're
But
smoking
yet
the
your-
leaf, you're stupid.
But yet your daddy's pants, his jeans that he's wearing are with the first pair were made from
Yeah.
hemp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they couldn't pull them apart. That's why the little logo is two horses pulling a pair of Levi's apart. They couldn't tear because they're made from hemp.
And you know what that conspiracy is like for me? There's always that conspiracy that there's this car that runs on water, man.
Mhm.
And hemp keeps coming up like that. And could it be too good to be true? Or do you think it is that amazing?
To fuel our cars.
Fuel, I don't know,
Well,
cars
all
make
the
the
different
cars.
things it can do. There's so
Yeah.
many things. I mean,
I do believe. I really
If I
do.
could drive a
I
weed
believe.
car.
I believe.
well,
really
BMW's
do.
making the inside of their panels out of cannabis. I mean, out of hemp. Sorry, the inside of the panels made out of hemp.
And I think you just hit a point. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that you were saying you'd like a weed car. I like to smoke weed on the way to buy weed. And I was in my car made of weed. Dude,
It's like Cheech
terrible.
and Chong's big joint car that they're driving around.
Yeah, and that van that was made out of weed
Yeah.
and burnt in the first one, the
Yeah.
Thunderbird. Yeah, dude, maybe we'll do a Cheech and Chong too.
Yeah.
So, guys, what happened after the Constitutional Court? Well, okay, the Constitutional Court thing was a crazy day. So there was this march that happened, and one of the the people, well-known friend. She marched along, and she didn't really eat anything that day and she made the mistake of chowing a pretty heavy edible.
Ooh.
You know, it's a thing that happens in our crowd a lot. It seems weird. People give you stuff, but you never know. This grab might fuck you up for 5 hours. This thing might misfire, but this chick's thing hit her for a 6.
Well, also, like you said, didn't you say she was standing in the sun the whole day?
Yeah.
No proper eating, no proper water intake, and then you take something like that. It's like taking a shot of whiskey or tequila
It's gonna be a freight
after
train.
a whole day of hard work. It's going to hit you hard, especially if you're a small, thin person compared to like a heavy-set person.
Yeah, and it's also with the edible, there's no way out. You know,
edibles are strong.
no water wings.
Remember,
no
that's like
Orange
80%
Orange juice
ingestion
won't
of
help.
the THC. That's putting you down.
Yeah. So this chick went fucking pale. Like, you could have hung her up for an Omo ad white. And we felt so bad for her. And it was riding out. It was actually getting pretty fucking awkward in the end because we had things to do. And this chick was being a social anchor. So I'm sure we've all had that when you got to stay and look after your bud, hold your chick's head because she's scotching or something.
Yeah.
This was that chick's moment. It was pretty cut. But we were there for it because we've all been there. We've all done it. But what happened that was so amazing is one of our friends pulled out the CBD thing.
Yes, yeah.
Literally this thing.
You can't really see it.
What?
But
What's it called there, Dan?
it's called Kanachi hemp oil. Peppermint flavor. It's a health supplement.
Yeah, and it's like got CBD in it. So the deal with CBDs, they say it counteracts THC. So traditionally we smoke high THC strains because that's what the market desires. Bang for buck. So it'll be high THC, low CBD. And then your sativas, the old school stuff, got a little more CBD, which has always made them a more functional high. And now they say there's logic to this. So they gave this chick a couple of dot drops of this, and I'm not joking. Could have counted it down. 5, 4, and on 1, she was fine.
Wow.
But like, I don't know, was it too quick? Was it too good to be true? But either way, she was fine. So I
You
don't know.
don't just come out of that kind of greeny type episode that quickly. You take a long progressive out usually if you don't take anything. And if this was the only thing that you gave to her because she wasn't going to eat anything or drink anything, maybe, you know.
But weed is so fast acting itself.
It is.
So if you were to be able to counteract it, maybe you would be able to find a substance that could counteract as fast.
Yeah, like maybe we need CBD schnoff. Maybe that's the quickest exit from the greenies.
Well, now in America because they got
Like crystalline, dude. It looks like
CBD.
Turk, hey?
crystallite.
Yeah.
It's white crystals. So if you're driving around with this and you try and explain that to an officer, they're going to be like, "You're lying." No, I'm good. And yeah, I mean that's exactly it. So also taking their dabs and their whatever, and they're dunking it or they're ingesting it for high levels of CBD, very high levels.
But also your brain must only be able to take so much, eh? Like, do you ever get to a point where you only get so high and you can't get any higher?
Yeah.
And you roll another joint because it's 2 in the morning and you're like, and it's just...
No, but the wake and
It's
bake,
just not enough.
I promise you, my wake and bake is the highlight of my day. A coffee and a bong, because I'm not a joint lady. That is how I wake up, and that's how I start my day. And it's a sativa strain, even an indica strain, it doesn't matter. It fuels me. I got groove.
Yeah,
The rest
well
of
maybe
the
let's
day,
do that. Let's go around the room. What's your wake and bake ritual?
My wake and bake.
Yeah, so on the day when you know you've got fuck all to do, and you can wake up at 8 or 6 or whatever your vibe is, you know, what's that routine? What do you eat? What do you drink? What do you smoke? How do you smoke it?
I wake up, I clean all the gunk out of my ass,
Okay.
I put on the kettle.
All the sleep.
Yeah, then I roll. When the kettle's done, I go outside, listen to all the birds, and I just chill in the sun.
Okay.
And it's just the most amazing thing ever.
Hey?
Mm.
Nice, easy entry to the day, hey?
That's just how I believe every day should start like it.
And
But
maybe-
at like 10, 11.
10, 11,
Yeah.
eh? That sounds good, hey? And then you have a morning nap after that.
Oh, you need that. Then you can be productive, then you can work.
Oh, the train.
That's right.
The morning train.
And Dan, what's your wake and bake ritual, hey?
Oh, just
Or with the lighty, is it always 5 o'clock?
Oh, no, not even with that. I'm an early riser. As soon as the first bird cheeps, I'm already waiting for that cheep. It's kind of one of those things. So I'm just, you know, I don't really like coffee. I have coffee every now and then, but I'd rather smoke a joint than have a cup of coffee. So, joint and a glass of water, whatever. Just get up and just get on going. Usually I'm doing something, so I'll get up and I'll literally stand up and do something. I don't wake up and flip and try to get my head straight because I don't know, for some reason it just goes. Just go. Wake up and go.
Okay. So no cartoons, no Scooby-Doo.
I don't even. No. Coffee doesn't even need to wake me up. I'm awake already,
Okay.
so it's like, let's go.
Just Mary Jane.
Yeah, but that's just to maybe because I woke up like this and come down the bench. Okay, cool.
And
Thanks.
bomb or joint? Or dab?
Dabs are cool.
Okay.
One little dab, but a joint is nice.
Okay.
Depending on what's going, you know what I mean? Come on, you got to switch it up a lot all the time. You got to always change. Got to have that option, I think.
Yeah.
But I agree, I don't need to have a stimulant. It is enough of a stimulant. And the rape it has is so ironic. It's scary. So I use it as a fuel as well.
Yeah, I think that's what many of us do is, I think swords can all cut both ways. We can use it to take the edge off because we all have our own personal motives. And I think we should never have to justify that to anyone. Unless, like you were saying earlier, I'm leaving Spur after 20 drafts and kill 5 people in a car or some shit. I shouldn't have to explain that. Do you think your kids will ever be obligated, though, to explain that? Like, if you found that maybe they were hiding something like substance use for a long time now. So we dealt earlier with the issue of, like, them coming out to you and then. But would you be hurt if there was an issue that went on for years and you only found out about it after the fact?
Yes.
Would you be worried
100%.
about your kid?
Of course.
Definitely.
But I think I think this day and age, if you don't see it, if you're not switched on enough and actually wake up to the new world and not just think, it's fine, he's just flipping, he's just tired. Come on, wake up. Like there's people live and they do things and kids do things. Don't be naive about what he's doing.
Yeah.
Wake up. I don't know. I just find that, I guess I wasn't brought up sheltered and then hidden away from all these drugs and you can't see this, you can't experience that, you can't experience that. It was there. It wasn't like being done. I'm not saying my parents were doing drugs. I'm just saying that they were open to say, well, this is what this is. What is that? Oh, this is what this is. So you got to know what it is. And then I think, you just got to be more base. Seriously.
And you find maybe that you worry about that a bit with your parents. So adversely, I'll talk about your mom now, or my mom, or your parents, and maybe occasionally your parents by the sounds of it back in the dinosaur days. But do you worry that their use might get out of control?
No.
No, never.
No.
No.
Never.
Cannabis.
Yeah, of cannabis.
No, wait.
No.
My mom's
If I-
She deserves it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she deserves it. She needs to chill, relax. The day's done. Mom duties are over. It's time to relax.
It's
Time
like
for
saying,
Simon Delon
it's like
and-
saying, can they have that bottle of wine or that glass of wine?
Yeah.
Who are you to tell them that they can or can't? Also, but be concerned if they get out of hand.
If it gets to like a problem, then it's like, okay, let's talk. Let's sit.
So you haven't
If
thought
mom's
about
sleeping
like,
before she's even made you dinner every single night for a couple of months, you'll be like, hey, listen, after dinner, please.
where is she?
Like,
before-
come on.
No, I'd never ever be concerned. I know that if I smoke too much, I build up one heck of a tolerance, and then you're gonna like hit me over the head with a brick for anything. To like, it just doesn't work anymore. You take a bit of a tolerance break, or you slow it down. You switch up, like you said, how you're smoking, what you're smoking, and then you give it a bit of a break. This is not something I think of 24/7, like something like this. This is something I can forget about for 24 hours. Remember and be like, oh, a joint and a biscuit. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that. It's not bad for you. It's great.
Yeah, I think we're all sold, hey?
Uh,
Guys, it's getting to that time of the season now, so the grow section, we need to get someone like Gardena to sponsor this shit now.
Yeah, we need to get some sort of...
Have some taps and whatever and hoses. But guys, it's getting to that time of the season now where if your plants are outdoors, they should be out already. It's getting pretty late to pull off a decent outdoor crop, so your babies should be in the ground by now. They should be starting with their veg growth, which means they're going from babies through their teen phase where they get tall and gangly and lank legs and all that. What you are going to start having an issue with is pest control. The worst pest is always the cops. But short of that, things you're going to be dealing with are whiteflies, aphids, spider mites,
Yeah.
mildew,
mildew is the worst.
Yeah, dude.
Especially towards it now with the rain. If the
What
rain
should we
is
what
more-
should we worrying about? What we should be doing to stop this grow down?
Yeah, but I mean, so you're starting now with new plants. They're going to be pretty small. You want to prepare them so you want to make sure that mites don't get in there. You want to make sure you don't get any white fly or anything. Mildew is not going to really happen in small plants. More foliage is needed, but nevertheless, you still want to prevent it. So use some sort of organic. There was someone that was using a bacillus spray to put in their plants.
Is this accessible stuff though? What's
Well, if you look online, yes. I think the most accessible is if you're willing to do a little bit of work for yourself and go online and read about making organic mixes. So a bacillus is like a, I think not even bacillus. There. Lactobacillus. There we go. It's where you are taking the rice. You do a rice wash by soaking. You basically take rice, warm it up, take that water that's been cooked in the rice, and put that in a jar and leave that to sit covered with a mesh or a cheesecloth or something on top of it. That basically then will pull off all the airborne bacteria, which will then create a colony within inside this water. And then that water, you would separate it. You take the curd off the top and keep all the stuff in between the two layers, because what will happen is the rice. I don't know what that's called. What is it? Here it is. Carbohydrates will sink to the bottom, and the top will have the muck. So you get that middle bit, and when you mix that with a bit of water, is quite a milk. Milk is quite a strong application that you can do foliar.
I've been seeing that a lot. Guys talking about these milk things that they're doing.
Yeah, people are going organic, eh? This
Yeah,
is organic rage.
super organic, eh?
Humans are going organic, plants are organic, but let's make them more organic.
I don't know. I blame the fucking hipsters, dude.
Yeah,
Because it's always got to be otis and anal weed now that's like, hey, you can meet the plant before they chop it.
Yeah,
and-
come talk to
Yeah.
this and that.
Hypothetically, a question. Hypothetically, let's say I want to put some of them seeds in the ground, start growing some tree. Would now be the time to put them in?
Yeah, it's as late as you can.
Okay.
You can do it a little bit later, but now it's,
Like we said in the last, I think it was in episode 1 or 2 back, was pretty much the time that you should start.
Yeah.
You
can
should
still
start
get away
with
with
seeds.
it.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, and the advantage now I find is if you plant your seeds late, your plants will stay small. Because you got to keep in mind that if you plant that fucking Swazi pip in like November or October or August or September or any of that time, that thing's going to get tall.
Huge.
That thing's going to be in your neighbour's
Well,
eye
if you catch
line.
it too early, then it might just flower out. But yes, you might get a very, very big, large plant. You don't want to have that if you're living in some small yard.
Yeah, so if you're in like a townhouse or a flat or whatever, trying to keep it on the down low outdoors,
Plant
it's a
it
good
later.
time to plant, yeah.
Wait, I thought it was legal to like 3 or 4 plants.
What?
What?
Am I misinformed?
Yeah, you're misinformed
Not
mostly
legal,
by
is
me. No. The rule is, so, okay, boring. They didn't legalize weed. In Cape Town, in March, Judge Dennis Davis and the other 2 judges in the Cape Town High Court unanimously ruled that your right to privacy supersedes the laws of prohibiting cannabis. That means they override it. So they're saying that by having this law, they're infringing on that constitutional right. So they've said now that they should legalize to accommodate this. We're not sure what that means yet. They said government has 2 years. So what it in theory now means, what it practically means, is that if you're at home now watching this and the Oaks in Blue kick down your fucking door, they're going to wreck your shit. They're going to wreck your plants. It's game over. You can then, when you go before the judge, if you haven't now spent the weekend in jail, because they like to bust Oaks on a Thursday night, so they spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday
They
morning.
want to make you sit.
So that's a favourite. I've had friends where they've busted them on the Wednesday and held them in their house till the Thursday to do that. So you will still potentially go through that. When you get to court, you can then say, whoa, there's this High Court ruling, and with a little bit of help from our friends over at Fields of Green and Join the Queue, if you're stuck, we can get your prosecution put on stay. So queues with everyone else is pending this outcome. And if you're lucky, you get your shit back. Or they might take all your shit and your home and your cars and your dogs. So you can still go through that, but you will get out of jail free essentially if you're wise. but it's not legal to grow any plants in a way. They've said in the privacy of your home it should be allowed,
But it's not.
but you can still go through that process. So it's there, it's getting there, but it's not there.
Oh,
That's
Is that
exactly.
sad, dude?
No.
oh, they broke my little heart.
Did you have your 4 plants thought out? What strains were you going to grow? What 4 did you have planned out there, Brad?
Yo, there was no, I'm too gone now.
Oh, no.
There was
Footed cheese.
footed cheese,
Snow stuff.
snow stuff.
What about the dog thing? What was it?
Oh, what was that?
That was the
Chem
best.
dog.
Yo, that was the best
Oh.
strain I've ever in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Good
we
old
must
Kim
give that
dog.
lady 50 Rand
Yes.
to Danka van Absa Bank. Thanks for helping out there. Hey?
Call a friend.
Yeah, no, she does.
You should have call a friend sign, you know.
Yeah.
Audience.
Can I use my 50-50, please?
50-50.
So you reckon when it's legal, you're not going to just go buy it off a shelf? You'll grow your own?
Oh, you need to grow. At least one.
It's so much fun. Like, I've never done it, but I'm saying it would be so much fun. That's how my parents feel about it. They're okay with me smoking it on my property, never driving on it, smoking it on my best friend's property, never driving on it, and never growing it, because they know it's not legal. Yo, it's a great lifestyle, but it's not seen the same way as everybody
Lifestyle.
sees it, the way we
Yeah.
see it.
It is almost a lifestyle. Well, it
It
is
is
a lifestyle,
a
but
lifestyle.
it's almost it's a counter, like subculture. It's hidden. It's slightly like
Because it's forced us to be
it's-
that
we,
way.
we're not
Yeah.
open or allowed to go and stand in the smokers section and smoke. You still have to go in the parking lot and smoke,
Yeah.
or around the back and smoke. Or if you just chance it and you know you're a weatherman and you can check which way the wind's blowing, go that side of the restaurant.
I've done that.
Come stand here with me and smoke your cigarette. I'm going to smoke my cigarette.
Yeah, that's the
We'll just mix our smoke together. You know, when you were young, you used to like stick your head out the window and make sure the wind wasn't blowing towards that side of the house. When mom was chilling, it's blowing that way. Smoke out the window.
And you think your mom was sitting there thinking, yeah, he's smoking that shit again in the
Yeah.
red rose, eh? That cup of
Yeah,
pee,
exactly.
eh?
There we go.
Because also as a lighty, I don't know what your first experience was like. The first time I smoked weed, it was cuck. Well, I was so excited, but it was shit. Those folks must have seen me a mile away. Your first time, have you ever had to score weed? Or is it like...
I had to walk up the road. I had to meet the old like mama lady thing.
The one who sells the
corner.
chips and the sweets and that.
That's so cool.
The
Yeah.
fruits.
Like,
There
That's
must be a
why-
name for that mama.
I'm
Everyone
pretty
has
sure.
one.
She's dope.
She was so cool.
Mama
And
Ganja.
that's where
Yeah.
I went. But
Okay. And what did you pay and what did you get? Because our perspectives, like, my first matchy was like
That's
$5,
true.
$10
That was, yeah, exactly. There we go.
Yeah,
That was-
$10
that was-
from
Really,
Matchbox.
Fuck me,
What
that's
era?
the price, eh?
Well, they
No,
keeping
they-
their price. Literally, there's been no increase for the last
Oh, no.
20 years, maybe.
Well, listen,
Zero
you don't know what
inflation,
you're
Zero,
smoking.
like, because they're just getting more and more grown for them, and they just have so much free reign. It's like, well, my aunt grows it back in the mountains, and this is where this is grown. And I can get this from Swaziland, and this thing.
Oh, she thought
That's
you
so
came
cool.
in some mama's tit in
Oh,
the
of
bra from fucking Murukan in a taxi
From
for 5
Transkei.
hours. No one knew.
It was
man.
dry then. Now it comes back. It's like literally almost freshly picked. It's so wet.
Still moist. dude.
And you thought it was. And you thought it was dipped, but then just to hide it from the cops. No.
It is like
Actually-
an hole in the underwire,
Oh,
puncture the
fucking-
banky.
Yeah, that ammonia smell. Yeah.
And when was the first time you knew you'd scored good weed though? Or was that good weed in your mind?
I spoke to my mother. I went
Okay.
to the experts.
Mom did you a solid, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's always doing me a solid.
What did she charge you?
Family
Dishes.
prices.
Dishes for a week or some shit.
Wish.
So yeah, back to growing. Guys, yeah, if you still want to put seeds in the ground, it's getting pretty late. Autoflower, sure. Plants will stay small, but pest control. Is there anything you recommend that guys can maybe get off the shelf from like a Pick and Pay or Builders? Because I know we all love the organic, but you know how it is when you're growing, you're like, rah, rah, everything's going lucky, you're not ready, and then bam, that shit's there. And you haven't got a week to sort shit out.
Well, if you know what you're doing, you can be conservative with any poison that you put on if you were to use poison. Because at the end of the day, it's the reality. Sometimes you're going to use it because you want your crop to last. And if your plants that are vegging have got spider mites, for instance, you want to get rid of it so that you know at least you can get something out of it. You didn't spend 3 months, whatever, vegging this plant out, and now you want to just cut it down. So then I would use red spider mite, red spider. It's a very handy stuff, but it is chemical. red spider side is very good. Yeah.
Yeah, so is that like from Effecto? Or
Yeah, it's one of those poisons. I call them poisons. It's like the aisle that you walk past. You're like, oh, don't even get too close. Walk like this side of the aisle. Don't get too close to that stuff.
Yo, you're gonna come out that.
Even when you pick
like,
up the box, you're like, oh, this box feels like it's got it all over it. But then if you use that organic stuff that you get from like Ludwig's.
Ludwig's.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that stuff, that garlic stuff.
Is it that Rose's range, eh? Or
Yeah, it's part of his miticide, and it's this orange box, but it stinks. It really is so bad. Don't get it on your clothes. Really, it really reeks. It reeks so bad. So yeah, but if you're gonna do, just go to the shelf and look at it and really like read the boxes. It tells you what you're gonna do. It shows you little pictures of the mite that was there or whatever it is that it treats. Read the box.
yeah, and again, read the box, read the label. Like,
Don't
don't
be
just pour the
careless,
whole
yeah.
fucking bottle in.
Some of them are so strong. It's like 1 milliliter into 10 liters. You need to be very careful. And even sometimes I'd recommend going almost half of that or a bit less because you might get away with it, or you just rather be on the safe side.
No scuttle met die oor gee, I can't.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like not pouring a brandy.
Yeah.
So, guys, that's bringing us pretty much to the end of the show. To wrap up, is there anything you feel like we should like talk about weed wise? Anyone you think we should support? Anywhere we should follow you guys on Instagram? You don't have to. No peer pressure.
No, if you guys can follow me on Instagram, that'd be pretty
No,
awesome.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Sell yourself, dude.
Bad Brad Perry, I think.
Sound like yes.
Mm.
I would like to add something very pertinent.
Yeah, no.
Very pertinent. Are there any girls out there that have problems growing hair and really weak nails? Move on to the Mary Jane train. I've been sitting here playing with my nails because I'm so thankful. They're beautiful. That's the contribution.
Smoke weed to grow nails.
I
And hair.
thought you were going
Because
to
if
tell
you're
me.
Look
smoking
at
that
this.
jut, you can use your long nail to...
That's what you grow the nail for, dude.
I've never
And,
understood
and you grow your
I was
maybe
like, what is wrong with these people with long nails?
for loading your balls.
Yeah, there we go. Loading your bong. It's
Like
for
an
loading
eye
the bong.
I thought you were going to tell chicks to eat Bob Martens there for their hair for a moment. Because that wasn't the history,
Bob
yeah.
Martens can make you aggressive. It's more placid. Let's put it that way.
But also, do Bob Martens affect your pubes too? That must be a terrible thing.
Hairdresser, yeah, make like
Listen, if you want long locks, you gotta have some long locks. You know?
You
Do you want it?
can have some drapes, yeah?
grapes.
As long as it's not too long to catch in the bomb.
Yeah.
Dan, where can we check you out? I think Dab, what's it, ca.za? Anything like that?
No, at the moment, not really. We'll see what
Okay.
we can do next time. It'll be coming up. Yeah.
Cool, man. Guys, thank you for joining us on another HotBox podcast. A quick thank you to some of our sponsors this week. We had Peacemaker Gear hook us up with some great shit. We'll be doing some giveaways soon.
Look at that,
420.
Shit, that is very cool.
You
Nice
must
dab.
know. You must know.
You must know. Check out 420 Peacemaker. Aware.
So we're going to give out some Kev shit on the next episode. Run a special, I think, Christmas edition. Jingle bells and all
Oh,
that
yes.
stuff. Jingle bongs.
Jingle bongs, jingle bongs.
With our book club.
Guys, thank you for tuning
Yay.
in. Like, subscribe. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Mary Jane. You're so great.
Thank you guys.
Aware.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Thanks for sharing this one.